Similar to what the U.S. Standard & Poor's 500 ranking does, where companies are ranked based on market capitalization on the New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ, with a minimum capitalization of $8.2 billion, True Nigerian Experience Limited provides Signature 50. Signature 50 ranks top 50 Nigerian companies based on their market capitalization on the Nigerian Stock Exchange with a minimum market capitalization of $50 million US. The 2020 edition was released during the week, and the Chief Executive Officer of True Nigerian Experience and the publisher of Signature 50, Samson Davis, provided more insight on our Business Morning program.
They're not listed on the stock exchange, for an example. Because there won't be any yardstick to measure your performance. There won't be any yardstick to measure your, how you are being regulated. Now, in 2018, for instance, where we did this ranking, Dangote Cement was the biggest company, still the biggest company in 2019, followed by Nestle Nigeria, and then followed by GTB as the third biggest company in Nigeria at that time. From the moment the likes of MTN came on board, MTN was running neck to neck. That's MTN Nigeria, running neck to neck with the market cap of Dangote Cement. But Dangote Cement has been able to weather all of that challenges, and still be able to dominate that market. Now, if you look at the valuation achieved by MTN Nigeria, in the tune of $7.7 billion, and the valuation achieved by Airtel Africa, beside in Nigeria majorly, to the tune of $4.5 billion. That tells you $3.7 billion, for Airtel Africa. That tells you that the potentials of even Nine Mobile has not been discovered until they are listed in terms of market size. The potentials of Nigeria's Globalcom has not been could not be known at the moment because of market size, because they are not listed. So that also gives an idea, an overview, that when some of these companies are listed or come to the fore in terms of, being globally recognized, via the Nigerian Stock Exchange, that means there is a possibility, for more companies, to get on that list and even surpass, the dominant players for years.
But I'm sure you know that there are big companies operating in the country that are possibly not listed at all, or that are trading on the NASD platform. Do you think your study in the future should take account of these companies? For instance, if, for instance, WAMCO was listed on the NSE today, it will probably make the list, but it's trading actively on the NASD platform. Now, shouldn't your study extend to the NASD as well?
Well, while I agree with you in terms of looking at the over-the-counter market in terms of other platforms, this is the second edition we're looking at. And the idea right now is to look at what is the attention the world is looking at in terms of market size. If you look at the Standard & Poor's 500, it is strictly based on your market capitalization on the New York Stock Exchange. At some other point, they added the NASDAQ. So we would also get there where we begin to consider companies that are not listed on the capital market in terms of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. But at the moment, there's a lot of attention, on, companies that are globally listed on the exchange, on the primary exchange of their country. If you look at Saudi Arabia can tell you today they're the biggest beneficiary of Aramco without listing on Tadawul of Saudi Arabia, or let's say JP Morgan can claim to be the biggest, in America in terms of bank, without being listed on the New York Stock Exchange. So the idea would be for us to identify, among the core players, that are, currently listed in the world. It is a global knowledge that a company that is not publicly listed, where documents are not publicly verified, may not even be acknowledged in any form, because anybody can come up with any figure. What the world is also asking is, before we adjudge that you are the biggest in certain area or you are the biggest in certain sector, you must have been publicly listed, you must be owned by the public, your accounts must be verifiable by the public, you must have gone through a couple of routines, exercise. There are sanctions, that also come from listing on any country's stock exchange. So maybe these are some of the conditions that the likes of Standard & Poor's have also put in place that we are also following.
As part of efforts to align financial systems with the Sustainable Development Goals and catalyze national regulatory actions, the Financial Center for Sustainability Lagos, through the collaborative partnership of FMDQ Group and other key stakeholders in the Nigerian financial market, has kicked off what it called Green Tagging Project. The head International Cooperation UN Environment Program Inquiry, Marcus Mancini, gave some insight to the project on our Business Incorporated program.
Potential issuers are financial institutions, certainly. Now, by reviewing their portfolios, one would be able to identify those green assets and eventually migrate those assets into capital markets to provide more liquidity for financial institutions to keep lending, hopefully, to green projects.
So what are the key opportunities for the participating banks, and how does this impact participating countries in terms of access to international funding for impact-related projects?
So the key opportunities for banks are basically in terms of, well, gaining extra liquidity, I would say, to continue financing green projects, attracting foreign investors, which are currently seeking this kind of assets. So there are several $1 trillion in assets under management from institutional investors worldwide who have the mandate to invest in green.
Tier 1 lender UBA has released the group's audited financial statement for the period ended December 31st, 2019. The group's pre-tax profit rose to 101.28 billion naira from 106.76 billion naira in 2018, while profit after tax also rose to 89.08 billion naira from 78.60 billion naira. Total comprehensive income for the period jumped to 124.43 billion naira from 45.33 billion naira the previous year. The group has also proposed a dividend of 80 kobo per share. While industrial goods giant Dangote Cement has reported a slightly dismal performance in its group earnings report as at December 31st, 2019. According to its financial statement sent to the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the group's revenue came in lower at 891.67 billion naira compared to 901.21 billion naira reported same period in 2018. Similarly, the group's gross profit slowed slightly to 511.68 billion naira from 517.90 billion naira. Pre-tax profit was trimmer at 250.47 billion naira, while after-tax profit was at a dismal 200 billion naira against 390 billion naira recorded a year ago. Well, that's it on the program tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Edidiong Iwang.